great day, great day. Another day, another opportunity. Super excited to be here with you this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been such a busy week, but hey, another day, another opportunity. You should be excited too, because you got that ultimate gift, and that gift is life. But now, what are you going to do with your life? And I won't go too deep into that, but that is the ultimate gift. Everything you've been praying for, you've been given it. It's life. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special edition of a Rich Education podcast. And on this edition, I actually had a delay on one of the particular podcasts, so I had to make some shifts. Guest coming on, which is going to be a special guest, and they had to reschedule for next month, so I'm super excited to get to that. But we will go back to our regular airing next week. But this week, I wanted to do something different. As you know, we're in some different times. As you know, the President of the United States of America stated that, hey, World War III is here. Now, I didn't say that out his mouth. He said it. So we're in some different times. But in different times, like they say, when there's blood in the streets, this is when things go on sale. So you got to put yourself in the right position, right? Mentally first, and then you can take actions. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on the largest, biggest market crash that the world has ever experienced. They call it a wealth transfer. You may have heard this term used a few times. Excuse me, I say I was a little sleepy, but I'm being transparent this evening. I had to get it done. I'm getting ready for a trip, and this trip is going to be all about business and helping people. But I said, I don't care how tired I am. I got to bring this information to the people. This evening, this morning, nighttime, I don't know where you're getting this information, what time zone you're in seeing it. This is important for every human being on the planet. We're in what you call an everything bubble. Everything that you can think of as financial is in a bubble, but money always has its protection. And this is the knowledge that you have to have, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to move forward. Remember, Scripture says, and I always say this, and I've said it plenty of times, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So it's not money, it's not even your health. It's the information that you've been absorbing, that we have been absorbing. I'm not going to take myself out of anything that we have been absorbing for years. And this information has shaped us. It has allowed us to build wealth. It has allowed us to be strong, or it's allowed us to be fearful. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to bring to us this evening, because we're in a situation where we're in an everything bubble. Everything, to a certain extent, financial, is in jeopardy. As you see, and as you may know, you may not take this, but most information that people are getting is obsolete. Why do I say that? When we go to the school and they teach us nothing about what's going on, unless you just have a teacher who's a rebel and they're going to teach you the truth. But if we see companies, big time, closing down, as we see a government and a country going into war, what purpose is it to go to school? I'm not saying just don't go to school, but as a parent, you should be teaching your children the real. They can go and get that to maybe have a little bit of construction mentally to, obey certain things, but the school system gets you ready for a world that we see going out. So come on, we got to get into what's real and not what's fake. Like Robert Kiyosaki, the gentleman who's going to be on the stream today, not physically. I wish he was with me physically and I can sit there and ask this gentleman some questions, but he's going to be questioned by Mr. Patrick David, and this is going to be on the Valuetainment podcast, Valuetainment channel. Mr. Robert Kiyosaki being interviewed. This channel has about 2.3 million followers. So I said, what better subject to wake up the masses and to maybe get a few people who want to change and save their retirement, save their pension, save their 401k, save the cash that they have sitting in the bank, because all of these things are in jeopardy, and we're right here, ladies and gentlemen. So don't take this information lightly. Watch it, take action. As you see, my number is right on the screen where you can text me, you can call me, so we can get you in position to not just survive, but thrive in this wipeout that's going to wipe out those who ignore the information that we're going to hear this evening. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take heed. I want you to stay safe. And I want you to understand that we're in different times, and in different times, you have to do different things. I'll see you next week on a Rich Education. I say Rich Dad because Robert Kiyosaki is coming on a Rich Education Podcast, special edition.
I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're heading for a global depression.
You think it's going to get that bad?
Yeah. MSNBC would never let me say what I'm saying.
There's a 70-80% chance Trump is going to get reelected. You don't pivot based on presidents.
Biden, Pocahontas, Akami, Alfred E. Newman, the Donald. You're counting on the government to take care of you?
I don't know. It's an interesting market.
Will you guarantee it?
Absolutely not.
I made more money after 2008 than ever in my whole entire life because the best time to start a business is right after a crash.
Incredible.
The average firefighter has about 1.2 million in pension, but there's nothing there.
Meaning what?
Their pensions were stolen.
Okay, be prepared because something's about to happen.
And the US dollar is fake. People are scared. So we're raising a bunch of snowflakes.
The people that are sick of it are not Republicans. It's everybody.
And they're like lemmings, you know.
So what can I do?
Everybody can do something, but they won't. And that's the problem. Don't change the world, change yourself.
30 seconds.
Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to hate it. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
So I've read nearly 2,000 books in my life, but this book I read was the third book I read in my life, and it completely changed my views. By the way, this isn't the first time we're sitting down with my guest here today. The last time we sat down with him, I think Valuetainment had 1,200 subscribers, and we were barely getting started, and then it's led to what it is today, nearly 2 million subscribers. And while at that time, I think this had sold, I don't know, 25 million copies, I don't know what the number was, Rich Dad, Poor Dad has sold 41 million copies. I suggested to Robert, I said, maybe he's got to do a new book titled 50 Shades of a Rich Dad. Maybe it's got a whole different market. But anyways, it's good to be back with our friend here, Robert Kiyosaki. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. Congratulations on your success.
Yes, congrats on this, 41 million. Are you kidding me? How does it feel knowing you have inspired so many people around the world to, with a simple concept, a diagram that so many use, the EBSI, from an employee to self-employed to business owner to investor. How does it feel, knowing you've impacted so many people to make that shift?
It's quite humbling, because I almost didn't finish school because I kept flunking out of school because I can't write. So to be an international writer is it's a miracle.
I bet your teachers, if they had to see that that's taking place, I wonder what some of the critics who knew you at that time would be saying about 41 million copies today. But let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on today. The market is an interesting market today. I'm kind of curious to know what you got going on. Obviously, you wrote a book called Who Stole My Pension, which we'll get into here in a minute. But it's an interesting market. Dow's at 29K, You got Brexit's about to take place, January 31st, 2020. They're kind of going through that to see what's going to happen there. You got the Iran-U.S. conflict, right? You got the trade war with China, that's taking place, and there's some more going on right now with Japan, but they're kind of getting the deal going, right? You got Venezuela still having some issues with Maduro and Guaido with their oil. You got U.S. with politics. It's a very divisive time with mainstream media and Trump and impeachment and all this stuff that's going on. A lot of people see that as a scary time. A market crashes around the corner. What am I going to do? I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to go through this. How does somebody like you, from your lens, how do you view today's economy and what's taking place?
Well, first of all, the reason I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad was because I knew this time was coming. And we have, as a world, have never been here before. And so is it a spooky time? Damn yeah, it is probably the most dangerous time ever. There's nothing to compare it to because there's never been a world economy before. For example, 100 years ago, if there was a stock market crash in England, it didn't affect anybody. But now the U.S. market goes down, the world goes down. So plus with social media and all this we're doing now, and so we've never been here before. And I'm excited about it because I make more money in crashes than I do when they go up. So, but for the average person, they'll get wiped out. I'm afraid at the worst, I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're heading for a global depression.
Global depression?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Depression. I mean, people are depressed. The economy stays down. It's hard to come back up. And now the good news is that for those who are prepared for it, like you and things like this, you'll do better. See, not everybody dies in a plane crash. Some plane crashes. But the last crash in 2008, I was on Wolf Blitzer's program 6 months before Lehman Brothers went down. And I said Lehman was going down. And nobody listened, but it went down. And so I've been expecting this market to go down for quite a while. And I'm concerned about my fellow human beings. But as you know, most Americans are clueless. They don't know what's going on. But if you travel the world, I just got back from Africa and China and Japan and New Zealand. People are scared. Australia, which hasn't had a recession in 30 years, is in recession. But Americans are fat, dumb, and happy, having a good time, which is good. But I'm concerned. That's all I can say. I'd be afraid if I had kids.
You'd be afraid about having kids today?
If I had kids, no. I think as an adult you can go hungry, but you don't want to see your kids go hungry, and that's what's going to happen.
Do you think it's going to get that bad?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what is the biggest factor that's going to cause that?
Well, the reason I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad is the U.S. dollar. That's my book over there, Fake, which came out last year. Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. And the U.S. dollar is fake. Never in the history of the world has any fake money ever survived. And we're doing the same thing. We just keep printing this money. And when I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad almost 25 years ago, people said I didn't know what I was talking about. I said savers would be losers. Now, today, there's quantitative easing, which is counterfeiting money. And then you have zero interest rates. And people are still saving money. Are you nuts? They just printed, I think, $500 billion in September of this year because the repo market is going down. And the average guy goes, well, what's the repo market? They don't know. So that's why it's fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. Our education system, it has been my rant forever. Why don't we teach people about money? Why is it? We all use money, but we don't teach people about it. So that's why I'm concerned. And I wrote this book, Who Stole My Pension? It's already sold out. But I wrote Who Stole My Pension because was the reason I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. The two authors here, me and myself, Edward Siddell, we both had dads who lost everything. And when I was in my 20s and my poor dad lost everything, it scarred me. And I said, I'm never going to let anybody ever do that to me. So I had just come back from Vietnam in 73. My dad was unemployed, poor dad was unemployed, and he tells me to go fly for the effing airlines. I said, are you kidding me? And he says, go back to school, get your master's and get your PhD. I said, are you kidding me? Here the guy is unemployed. He's got no pension. He's got no paycheck. And he's telling me to go back to school. I said, what, learn nothing? And those guys who, my friends who flew for United Airlines, they're broke today. Their pensions were stolen. U.S. Air, same thing. You look at what's going on in Paris today as we talk, they're rioting. Millions of people are rioting because of pensions. Japan, they're rioting because of pensions.
Terrible. You see them, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Americans, I wonder how my 401k is doing. I'm going, gee, I'd be a little bit worried, but they don't know. Americans live in a fishbowl. Everybody sees in, but Americans can't see out. So I travel the world constantly. And what I see going on in the world is disturbing. I was just in Argentina, and I took my kid brother there, and he came back a changed man. He says, you weren't kidding, were you? I said, no, I wasn't. My brother could not believe that what happened in Argentina is going to happen here.
It's terrible. It's 12 million people working to support 9 million people in Argentina with an inflation of 32% right now. It's a absolute travesty what's going on over there. And when you look at Argentina from America, you're like, oh my gosh, Europe of Central, it's a Europe of Central America. When you go to
Yeah.
Argentina, it's such a beautiful place, but
It's one of the most beautiful. Buenos Aires is spectacular.
beautiful place. And it's got nice hotels, food, restaurants. First class, everything. So why do you think sometimes, the thing I'm always curious about is when we're talking about fear, Robert, what is the biggest difference between fear today versus fear 50 years ago versus fear 100 years ago versus fear 20 years ago? Isn't this a common thing? Like when market does well, economy does well, a few people are prepared for it. Most people kind of sit around, don't do anything about it. What's changed? And is that going to be happening 50 years from now, 100 years from now, where people capitalize and most don't?
Well, that's a fabulous question because, today when I refer to 2008, most people remember 2008. Do you know what I mean? That's when Lehman went down, Bear Stearns went down.
38% drop.
Yeah, they all remember it. But when I started Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the only thing they had was the Depression. I came out in 1997, Rich Dad, Poor Dad came out. And their only reference points was the Depression. And none of the people I talked to remember the Depression. So the fear today, I think people are a little bit wiser, is because they do remember 2008 and they do remember 2000. So 2008, 2000, 2008, and here we are today. So I think most people are at least kind of tuned in. I hope it doesn't come down, but I'm afraid it will. That's what I have to say.
Most people are more tuned in today because it was only 12 years ago when the last market crash happened. I remember 08. 08 was pretty ugly. We started our agency a year later in 09. And
That's the smartest thing you could have done.
Yeah, believe me, it benefited us because we got a contract with AIG at the time and a few insurance companies, and we started growing, but everybody was scared. And a part of, the business for us is fear sharpens listening. If you're able to monetize on fear, you can really do some stuff when the market changes.
But I want to say what you did was really, really smart, because the best time to start a business is right after a crash. I made more money after 2008 than ever in my whole entire life, because everybody was hiding like little cockroaches.
You made more money after 2008 than your entire life.
Yeah, so when, here I'm talking about the coming depression, everybody says, oh, you're such a pessimist, I go, no, I'm excited. I get sexually stimulated thinking about all the bargains that are going to be on the street, I mean, it's going to be bargains everywhere. But everybody else, oh, you're pessimistic. No, I'm actually optimistic. So anyway, so you're very smart. When I study business. Guys who start right after a crash do very well most of the time.
It's work for us, whether it was smart, luck, or wise, or a little bit of all
Just
of it.
stupid.
We'll take it as long as we
Just
did.
admit you're
I'll
stupid.
take
Roll
it. I don't care what it is. Yeah.
I didn't know what else to do, so I just started.
It just didn't work out for us. But so somebody's watching this saying, okay, Robert, it's you're saying this while 2008, 2009, Dow drops off and it goes down to, I don't know what the number was. It goes down to 6,500 at one point, and I don't know the exact month on when it hit, but it hit 6,500 points. And
it was at 14.
And it was at 14, and it went to 65. So that's 50%.
Yeah.
You could have bought Ford stock at that time, I think like 75 cents or $1, and all these other things that took place at the time. Everything was cheap to buy, right? So that takes place, and then we go from 6,500 to 16,000 to 29,000. And I have a friend of mine where I said, hey, you remember that one book Harry Dent wrote? I don't know if you remember Harry Dent when he wrote a book talking about the fact that the Dow's going to go to 42,000, et cetera, and the opposite happened, right?
The great boom I had.
The great boom, yes. And then there was the other book, which is like, well, it's going to be the opposite. The market's going to tank, and the market went up. So my buddy said, whatever Harry Dent writes, do the opposite. Okay, I don't know if you remember this book.
Harry is a friend of mine. Harry, what they're saying about
we're taking your counsel, except my buddy says do the opposite. And then there was another book that was written where you read Good to Great, and you're hearing all these stories he has in there about Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. That book was a big book, Collins, for quite some time, the Red Book by Jim Collins. And the principles haven't changed, but some of the stories of the companies, had changed. I think he used Kmart and some of these other stores. So it's 29,000 right now. Somebody may be watching this saying, listen, there's a 70-80% chance Trump is going to get reelected the way it's going right now. This impeachment's not going to go anywhere. He's going to get reelected. Joe Biden's not going to be able to debate against the guy. Bernie has some energy. But they're not going to let Bernie get the superdelegates because the superdelegates are going to go to Joe, maybe Warren, maybe it's a broker convention. Bloomberg comes in, he's setting up offices all over the place here, all over the country, spending all this money. He's worth $54 billion, he can do it. But there's the optimists that say, Robert, I don't know. I think Dow's going to go to 35, 40, 45. I think it's time to double down right now. You know, I think things are going to be good the next 4 years, 5 years. I just don't know 6 years from now, but I do know 4 or 5 years from now. What would you say to something like that?
So will you guarantee it?
Absolutely not.
See, I'm not in the stock market, so I'm not the guy to ask. And I just don't trust the market because it's so manipulated. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, that book on fake money, fake teachers, fake assets, the Dow. This book, Who Stole My Pension, I write about what is America's #1 export. Do you know what it is? Toxic assets. You know, 2008 was Wall Street.
Toxic assets. Toxic assets.
CDOs, MBSs,
yes.
You know, derivatives. And so what is it today? Wall Street just looted the pensions. So this book, Who Stole My Pension, it's like I said, my co-author is an SEC attorney. And he got sick and tired of seeing all these bankers loot the pensions and get paid bonuses. And then the labor union guys who manage the funds get paid bonuses. And the guys who manage it get paid bonus. Meanwhile, the workers get screwed. So when this next crash comes, it's going to be horrible. Now you look at the other guy. So there's 2 authors. Ted Siddell, SEC attorney. His father was a CIA operative in Uganda. And Idi Amin killed his father. So his family went broke because there was no body. He couldn't collect anything because no body, no corpse. Whereas my father ran for political office against the governor of Hawaii, and he got crushed. And the governor says, "You're no job, no paycheck, no pension." So my old man's broke. So Ted and I are about the same age, and we come back. He says, "My father has no money. My family's starving. My family was starving because my father lost everything." So it kind of put us on edge. You know what I mean? I don't trust my government. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I like Trump, but they can't save me. You know, Trump, Biden, Sanders. I mean, it's a cast of characters, right? You got the Donald on one side, and then you got Comrade Sanders, a commie, and then you got Pocahontas, and then you got Alfred E. Newman, Buttigieg. It's a reality TV show up there. You're counting on the government to take care of you? I mean, wake up.
So you don't at all look at it as they have an effect over your net worth or your next moves?
No.
So you're...
That's good. You want to make sure that no matter who's in office or if it crashes, you're okay. That's the most important thing you can do.
You don't pivot based on presidents?
No, of course not. They don't affect me at all.
You don't pivot based on presidents?
No, I'm not a stock guy, that's why.
Okay.
So I'm a real estate guy.
So for you, it's...
I own businesses. So the Rich Dad Company does better in a crash. And apartment houses, they always do well because people have to have someplace to live. And I own oil wells because people are always burning oil. So I always protect my assets that they're crash proof.
So let me ask you, the average person's watching this right now saying, okay, Robert, I'm not like you. I don't run a company. I don't have a brand. I haven't sold 41 million copies. I don't have oil. I don't have rental properties. What can I do? I'm in a time like this. You're telling me the market's going to go in shambles here pretty soon because of currency, and we printed $500 billion of money in September just in 1 month, not including the $3 trillion we printed in the last 7 years prior to that. What do I do to be prepared for a time like this?
Well, first of all, everybody can do something, but they won't. And that's the problem. You know, the reason, who stole my pension, there was plenty of money in it, but nobody did anything. They just stole it. And people did nothing. It's like I said, when the crash came in 2008, not one of those guys went to jail. They got paid bonuses. So there's something rotten inside America. And I think the problem with many Americans is they're complacent. They expect, well, it'll heal itself again. So the thing that everybody can do is, like as I covered in Fake, my first investment was a gold coin in Hong Kong. I bought a Krugerrand. I was flying off an aircraft carrier in Vietnam, and I went to Hong Kong and I bought a gold Krugerrand. The date was 1972. The reason the date's important is because in 1972 it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So I had to smuggle that little puppy into America. I put it in my pocket, came off the ship, and nobody checked, But I felt like a criminal as I smuggled this gold coin because it was illegal for Americans to own gold after 1933 under Roosevelt. But that gold coin today is worth almost $2,000.
The one gold coin.
Yeah, and I still have it. So
What'd you pay for it?
$50.
$50 to $2,000. 1972.
Yeah, it just sat there. So I have and so I never, because I understand money, that quantitative counterfeiting and zero interest rates, I don't trust the dollar. So for most of my life, I've saved gold and silver, and not ETFs. I stay completely out of. I know that's your world, but my world is completely into the hard assets. So I have millions in gold coins and silver coins. I just kept saving it because I don't trust the dollar. So everybody can buy a silver coin today for $20. A silver eagle is $20. But how many people will go to a coin shop and buy it? Probably none. Less than 0.1% of Americans own precious metals. And silver today is 50% below its all-time high. So silver is the biggest bargain sitting in the market as we speak today. It's about $20. It should go to 50. So at $20, and I tell my friends, I go, yeah, think about it. That's the problem. So everybody can afford $20. Kids can afford $20. The thing is, people won't do it, and you know that too. When you deal with people, most people are pretty sedentary. They want to do the same old thing. Well,
Sure.
I'm happy. Nothing's going to happen. Oh, he's just trying to scare me. But I was talking to my doctor last night. He says, "You've been saying this stuff for 25 years. I never listened to you." I said, "Well," he says, "Now what do I do?" Because his 401k, as we cover in this book here, the average firefighter has about 1.2 million in pension, but there's nothing there.
What do you mean?
Their payout's going to be about 1.2 million. The average
Firefighter retiree has a $1.2 million pension payout.
Yeah, that's how much they'll get paid out.
Okay.
But there's nothing there. It's a problem.
Meaning what? Meaning they don't have the money to pay the benefits?
It was stolen. It was stolen by Wall Street.
So how is that going to be fulfilled?
We wrote this book.
How is that going to be fulfilled? Because I know one of the stats
Taxpayer.
you said by 2050, 2 billion retirees will be above the age of 60. What was the stat you said about?
Okay, today is 2020, right? In 10 years, 2030, 2 billion baby boomers across the world will retire. Japan's broke. Argentina's broke. China's broke. Italy's broke. Germany's broke. All these old guys are retiring. And the stock market, I live in a fairly exclusive place in South Carolina, and I was talking to my friends there, and they said, "Oh, we love Trump, we love Trump. Stock market's an all-time high." And I said, "Yeah, but so is our debt all-time high." See, they watch the stock market, they don't watch the debt. And the repo market, the repurchase market, is one of the biggest markets in the world. And the Fed is bailing that one out now. So the average American is watching the stock market, but not what's really going on. So that's why I wrote Who Stole My Pension? So that means retirees, their kids, taxpayers will pay for the heist.
So let me ask you this. So one is you said buy coins, whether it's
But
silver
you
or
don't
it's
buy
gold.
gold coins. You don't buy gold coins to make money. You buy
Long-term.
gold coins because the dollar is going to go down. So I don't trust the dollar.
Anytime Buffett says, I remember when Buffett says, he bought $35 million of silver. I don't know if you remember that when he bought it. You're like, okay, be prepared because something's about to happen.
Yep.
Right? If he buys gold, just be ready in the next 6, 12, 24 months. He's anticipating some kind of a crash to be taking place. He's right now in cash because
That's smart.
Yeah, he's anticipating something to happen to buy up businesses and rebuild them. He does that all the time.
And then he's going to go in after the crash.
He's going to go after the crash.
Now, the tragedy is, which I cover in Fake and Who Stole My Pension, so you have this defined benefit, which are police officers, firefighters, and school teachers and union guys. Like the UPS drivers, you know, they're pretty smart guys, those UPS drivers. They were getting a $5,000 a month pension. They gave my haircut down to $850 a month.
From 5,000.
Screwed them all.
Now, this is every one of them, Robert, when you're saying this? From 5,000 to 850.
Yep.
How can they do that?
Well, look at my friends who are airline pilots. They lost everything. They stole the pensions. Nobody talks about it. U.S. Air, they stole the pensions. The Teamsters, they got stolen by Wall Street. And nobody knows about it.
Are they not insured?
Well,
Are these pensions not insured?
PBGC, right? Pension Benefit Guarantee. They're broke. The defined benefit, which is the DB pension plan, teachers, firefighters, school teachers. I don't have one. You probably don't have one.
No.
That was the industrial age pension plan, my father's pension plan. The PBGC was to back it up. Today, as we talk, if they had to bail out the defined benefit pension, it's anywhere from $9 trillion to $17 trillion shortfall. Look at CalPERS, California State Pension, $1 trillion underwater. CalPERS alone. And then now you got the 401k guy. The average 401k guy, at least a school teacher has $1.2 million. The average 401k guy has $65,000.
By retirement. The average 401k guy has $65,000
Yeah.
by retirement.
And so when they, what the actuarials do, you know those guys, right? The guys that put the numbers together, they lump in the guy with 1% in with the guy that got nothing. And it comes out, every American's a millionaire. Because the upper 1%, they're so
Of
bloody
course,
rich. You know?
of course.
They lift everybody else up.
If they take the top 5% out, those
Oh.
numbers will be a whole different story.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can. You add those billionaires in there, it shows the numbers to be much better.
yeah. It looks really good when you average it, you know. But when you look at the case by case, so the average 401k guy is 65,000 to 100k when they retire. Now, that's just America. So remember, Paris is rioting right now because they're trying to cut their pensions. Japan's rioting, Hong Kong rioting, Argentina, Indonesia. The old guys like me are going to suck the system dry. So if anything's going to bring down the market, it's going to be pensions. Because I can't get, I wish I could get younger, but I can't. So these guys are getting older and older. Every day that goes by, we get closer to the edge. And they're like lemmings, you know. So that's why my medical doctor
Yeah.
says, I should have listened to you 10
Yeah.
years ago. So, well, you still got time.
Okay, so one is some kind of a precious metal, is one. Two,
For money.
for money as a form of investment, long term.
No, it's not even an investment. It's an insurance policy because the dollar is going to go down.
So you buy it and you resell it, or you buy it or you keep
Just
it?
keep it.
Okay, so long term, you buy it and you keep it and you
Yeah.
set it aside.
I never sell.
Okay, so you buy it and you keep it. Okay, so that's one. So what else can I do today? If I know these bad times are coming, I'm a regular guy, what else do I do to position myself better?
Well, what a person does is what they can do. And since the average person has no financial education, they can't do much. So like, I can short the market. I'll make more money as it short's coming down. So I'm looking forward to it. But the average pensioner, they're handcuffed. They can't get out. If they take the money out, they're penalized 30%. They screwed them. They screwed everybody. That's Wall Street, the government, and all these guys.
So what can I do? I'm one of them. What do I do? Does it go back to employee, self-employed, business owner, investor? Like, go find a business, go start a business, go reposition yourself career-wise? Is there a 1, 2, 3 step process on what I can do to be prepared for it?
Well, the next book I'm writing with a guy named Jim Rickards. He wrote Currency Wars and all that. The next book I'm writing is called The Ravens. And Jim and I see eye to eye, definition of intelligence. He says, you should have gold and you should have silver. You should have museum quality artwork. I don't have any of that.
Museum quality artwork.
Yeah. And real estate. Income producing real estate. Like I have a friend in Panama. He has an avocado farm. He says, he's a Canadian. He says, I got out of Canada because Canada's in worse shape than America. Now, this guy's he's a bond trader. So he's sitting in Panama growing avocados. He says, because people have to eat. Another friend of mine is growing blueberries. But another friend of mine, he moved up to, he was from Seattle, excuse me. He had a big house. His kids all moved out. So he converted the kids' bedrooms into one-bedroom apartments. So he put a kitchen and he put a toilet inside his little bedrooms. And so he now rents out 4 bedrooms. He's making more money today than ever before because a lot of workers commute to Seattle. So they come in, they come in on Sunday night, they check out Friday afternoon. It's at a little house. He's making more money. So the point is, everybody can do something, but you got to figure out what you can do.
Yeah, so to me, what I take away from what you just said, right, there is use your creativity to kind of position yourself in a way, whatever that could be. Just think outside the box and be creative.
Don't short stocks if you've never shorted a stock, because you know how dangerous that is.
100%, because it could flip on you and then you're...
you short and then it goes up.
Yeah, you're
out.
You're out, especially...
Out of the
I remember back in 01 when the margins, the 99, when the margin calls were coming up. I think there was even a movie named Margin Call 15 years ago. But how about industry-wise? So right now when you're looking as a lens, so don't look at yourself as who you are today. Let's go back to you're out of the Marines, okay? You're, 32 years old, okay? You're 30 to 35 years old. You've just started a family, okay? You're just getting married. You're just about to have a kid. You don't have a lot of money to yourself. Maybe you got 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. You got something going on. But you know this is coming. And you're watching this saying, okay, this makes sense to me. I buy into it. This time is coming. How do I pivot now with industries that I can look at that could be good ways to position myself for 5, 10, 15 years from now? Again, if this is Robert 30 to 35, how would you position yourself at that time? You don't have a lot of money.
Well, you and I are educators, really. And there's something you should know about technology. Look at all these cameras. Okay, it's called the Lindy effect. This Nassim Taleb wrote about it. He says anything that's been new in the last 20 years will be gone in 20 years. What's going to survive is old. So everybody thinks, well, technology is going to make it. What survives is old. It's the reason gold and silver will survive is because it's old. Bitcoin may not survive because it's new. So I'm not telling you what to buy, I'm just telling you how to think. So Nassim Taleb has a book called Anti-Fragile, which is good.
Excellent read.
It's fantastic. He's a smart guy.
Oh, yeah.
But he writes about, how we have in school today, we're raising snowflakes. You have to have safe rooms. You can't trigger, you can't say anything, So we're raising a bunch of snowflakes. And he says the guy that's going to survive is somebody who's not fragile, anti-fragile. So what he says is this: whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. So he says when you go to the gym and you pump weights, you push 100 pounds, that means the next time you push, you might go 105. So bad times will make the strong stronger. And bad times will make the snowflakes weaker. So the thing is, as my Mexican friends would say, get some cojones, get some balls out there and get ready for whatever is coming. Don't run and hide and say, oh, Trump should have saved me or Bernie's going to save me. So the big thing is this anti-fragile is good, but another thing they should know is the bigger something gets, i.e. our banks, the more fragile.
So the too big to fail companies are?
More fragile.
More fragile.
More fragile. And the companies that will survive are like our companies because we're small.
Nimble.
Yeah.
We make quick adjustments, quick moves.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? Nassim Taleb, Anti-Fragile, Black Swan.
Skin in the Game.
Yeah, Skin in the Game. Great book, great thinker, So you're working for a big company like Google. You might be safe today, but you might be gone tomorrow. Whereas your little startup, you might have a better chance. I'm not saying what it is, but there's something everybody can do. Like I said, everybody can buy a $20 silver piece. Everybody can afford $20. But will they do it? No. They'll be at Starbucks sucking it down instead.
So what would the 30 to 35-year-old Robert Kiyosaki do right now? What industry would you be looking at today to make your money?
I'd be in this business.
You would still be in this business. Education,
Look at this.
content.
Look at what we're doing.
Wow.
Look at what we're doing. You know, I mean, I have several YouTube channels going out. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have young people doing it for me. So I be with technology. Now the cameras will be obsolete, but you can buy a new camera. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't invest in the camera. I'd buy a camera, but I wouldn't invest in the company. You know what I mean? It's how you think about this right now. So just know that those who are in big companies who think they're safe might be at the most at risk. You know, if you're working for Bank of America or Wells Fargo, you might be at risk.
So you would position yourself more with startups than the bigger companies.
Small company.
Incredible advice, by the way.
No,
Incredible
I
counsel.
don't like to give it. This is how I think.
It's great counsel, though, but it's great perspective
Yeah.
that you're given. Okay, so far, counsel on what to do with the marketplace is coming. We talked about some precious metals, silver and gold. Buy them, never sell, keep them. Okay, great. You know, find a way to be creative, kind of like your friends. That house, 4 bedrooms, kids are gone. Put a bathroom there, sell them. You're making rent them. You're making money. Then the next one is don't work for a big company. Work for more nimble, smaller companies, and maybe content creation, education. Use the platforms that we have, right? There's something you said which was very interesting to me. You said the fact that we are printing money, we're in debt, and your friends, when you're in South Carolina at this exclusive community, they're saying, I love Trump, the market's doing great, it's Dow's at 29,000. And they said, but also the debt is at the highest it's ever been. So here's a way I see this, and I'm curious to know how you process this. Do you think the reason why we're not really having the conversation about the big elephant in the room, which is the, say $100 trillion of unpaid commitments that we have, not including the $22 trillion of debt that we have. We have Medicare, Social Security. We have all this unpaid commitments that we made, not including the debt we have to Russia, to Japan, not Russia, to China, to Japan, all this stuff that we have to pay for, right? Do you think the reason why none of the presidents are really talking about it is because if they do, it's not a 8-year fix. So whatever they do, if they campaign on it, it's a 40-year fix. So because they have no influence to fix it, so they're just kind of letting it go to the next president?
They can't fix it.
Do you think that's why they're not talking about it?
And all they're doing is inflaming people. You know what I mean? That they just talk about, well, Trump and his zipper, immigration and impeachment and all this. They can't do anything.
So does that say that the current model of how we pick presidents, is that an effective model? Because, if they can't do anything, like why would I want to campaign around paying off the national debt when there's nothing I can do about it in 4 years? Because the GDP is what, 3.6 trillion, national debt is 22 trillion. Even if I took the GDP and I made no one make any money, everybody pay taxes 100%, 3.6 trillion. In 4 years, I wouldn't even pay off half the debt that we have.
No, and that's why, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren talks about tax the rich, AOC, tax the rich. Well, I hate to tell you this, but the rich don't pay taxes. I cover it in fake. It's pretty pathetic, I mean, it's legal.
You're laughing at what though? What are you laughing at?
How stupid our reporters are. I mean, that's why these guys here, I love what these guys are doing, because they would never let me say this on CNBC. MSNBC would never let me say what I'm saying. But now because of YouTube and all these, the little guys popping up, we can say what we want.
That's
it's
right.
freedom of speech, except in school where I can't say anything. But anyway, this is the best time of all, but it's also the most dangerous. And that's what Nazim Tal was talking about. If you're anti-fragile, if somebody punches you and you fall down, you go, thank you, I'm coming back stronger. That's kind of what's going to save you. But if you're the guy who is, you have to put me in a safe room, and you can't say anything that triggers me, whatever those kids say, I don't want them. They're not going to make it.
There's something happening though. There's something happening right now that's very weird. I don't know if you watched the Golden Globes. Is that what it is? The Golden Globes. Ricky, what's his last? Gervais. Did you watch Ricky Gervais's monologue at the Golden Globes?
No.
Oh my! It's 8 minutes. After this, with your wife, watch this 8-minute clip. I'll text it to you if you watch it. It is absolutely incredible. Because what I notice happening with politics today is the snowflakes are giving birth to people who are so sick of it. And the people that are sick of it are not Republicans. It's everybody. It's like, because now the snowflakes are kind of offending Democrats. Republicans can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say this, comedian can't say that, comedian can't say that. And the comedians are like, leave me alone. I just want to tell a joke, right? And so I almost think today.
Let me tell you a Rodney Dangerfield joke.
Tell me.
No, I could never tell it anymore. That guy was so funny.
He was.
They'd hang him today.
They would, yeah, that would probably happen today. But, you know, so today's comedians are like, listen, man, I feel like I'm handcuffed. Let me tell a damn joke. Yeah. But I think content creators are pissing off ABC, CNN, Fox, NBC, all those guys.
I was just on a vacation with Steve Burke, NBC Universal. He says, we're in the spot right now.
He's saying that?
He's resigning next year. The biggest media company in America, he says, I told him about my little YouTube channel. He said, you guys are killing us.
He said, you guys are killing us.
Yeah.
This is the NBC CEO saying, you guys are killing us.
Yeah. Streaming and all this, they can't compete. They're spending money to lose money.
And by the way, didn't they just start they're launching a streaming company, something like that? Yeah. NBC just announced it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and end of spring. And by the way, Disney's streaming company after 2 months is already valued at $100 billion.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. It's valued at $100 billion already, based on what Business Insider and some of the experts are saying. So, you know, but going back to it with the debt, so you get elected today to president. First of all, say you're campaigning on debt, and your campaign is, we have to pay off this $22 trillion of debt, and you bring awareness to, listen, no matter what we're talking about, this debt is coming. If you think you love your kids or your grandkids, here's what they're going to be facing. This is the situation they're going to be in. And I'm going to sit down and be like, oh my gosh. Okay, let me see what this presidential candidate, Robert Kiyosaki, has to say. Boom, you get elected, you win. You're president. What are you doing with the long-term debt to be able to pay that off, long-term?
Resign. They can't. I don't see a way out.
Robert, you're saying there's no way out with the debt.
Do you see a way out? I don't see one.
I'm curious to know what I don't know. The math doesn't make sense to me.
That's why what Taleb is saying, Nazim, you want to get smaller right now. You don't want to get bigger. You know, it's almost like being a Navy SEAL. You want to get into a small team. Like at Rich Dad, we have a small team. We trust everybody. We know everybody. Been working together, most of us, 25 years. And we don't let anybody else in. It's a little tight little group. So small is bigger, not big is bigger.
Small is bigger,
yeah.
not
better,
big.
Better, excuse me.
Small is better.
Let me give you one more thing that's going on, which because I like to study trends. Back in the Dark Ages, every little town had a church in Europe and Asia. They all had this little church, right? Everybody rallied around God or Jesus or Buddha, whoever they rallied around. Mm-hmm. Then during the Industrial Age, they rallied around like the war heroes, like the Marine Corps, the Marines raising the flag on Iwo Jima, and Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant. So it went from agrarian age of religious to industrial age with valor or heroes. You know what it is in information age? The victim. We worship the victim. When they start, like they're tearing down Robert A. Lee statues. Now, I'm not for slavery, but why are they tearing that down? That was history. Everybody's a victim today. Everybody's a victim, So my friend, they say, well, we should give the blacks back their money. We should pay them for slavery. I said, good luck. Well, what about the American Indian? They got their land taken too. What about the Japanese? We got locked away in internment camps. So everybody now, you raise your hand, I'm a victim, everybody rallies around you. I'm not saying it's right to be a victim. It's not right to pick on people. But today, the people we are worshiping are victims. Look at when that Supreme Court justice was, the woman says, he raped me, but she couldn't remember that he raped her or something. Going,
Kavanaugh?
Huh? Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
I'm going, holy mackerel, the poor guy. She accuses him, but she can't remember. And everybody just jumps all over the guy. And I thought you were innocent until proven guilty. But today, if you say you said something mean, and did this, The whole world wants to jump on you because you created a victim. So what's going to bring America down is the victim mentality. And we're in the middle of it. That's Bernie Sanders, that's AOC, that's all of these guys who just, oh, look at all the victims we got. Look at all the homeless. Look at all this. Look at the student loan debt. I'm going, yeah, look at it, but giving them all money is not going to solve the problem.
How did we get here?
What's that?
How did we get here?
I don't know. You know, my standard pat answer is no financial education in schools. What do they teach you about money? So everybody knows in 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? Fake money. That's why I call it fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. As soon as they could print money, any time throughout history, they printed money, the money disappeared. It went broke. Every country that printed money went broke. We're going broke. U.S. is going down. Japan is going down. Europe's going down. South America's going down. Mexico's in serious trouble. Look at Venezuela, the richest oil country in the world. They're going down. Zimbabwe going down. Because we're run by these kleptomaniacs or something. They're called politicians. Everybody's like, same as who stole my pension. The same guys that robbed the world are robbing their pensions. Highly educated elites. I went to Harvard, went to Yale, I went to MIT. I'm smarter than you, I know everything. Let me take your money. That's where we are today. They're all poor dads who think they're smart. You meet guys like that, right? They got their PhD, they think they're smarter than Jesus, you know. They make me nauseous.
Yeah, feelings mutual.
Yeah.
They're filled, they're all over the place in the financial industry, by the way. You see them everywhere.
Yep.
So your answer to the long-term debt, there's no solution. You don't think there's a solution?
No, my solution is always the same. Pull back in. Create your own little fire team. I'm a Marine, you know. We just create a little fire team. I have my accountants, my attorneys, my bankers, I have my little team. Go smaller. Put your own team together.
Well, I'm talking about country-wise.
What's that?
I'm talking as a country.
I can't fix that. I can save myself.
What if President Trump calls you to be as a counsel? How do we get rid of this debt? Would you say I can't be part of the advisor because I don't think there's a way?
I'd still hunker down.
But how would you solve it for him if he wanted you as a counsel?
I wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't do it?
No. Why should I? I'm going to get rich when it falls down.
So it's irrelevant to you. So you're simply
Right.
looking at it from the libertarian standpoint of I'm going to take care of myself, and that's what I can control. And I have my team to help me with that. Everything else is out of my control. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, but there's one thing that's different. Marines fight as teams. I have my own fire team. I have the best accountant, the best attorney, the best banker, you know. You got to have politicians on your team too.
So if
Hang on, the average guy has a financial planner.
So you got to have politicians on your team too.
Yeah. Trump is my friend. Governor is my friend. City councilman is my friend. Got to play the game. Don't change the world, change yourself. That's what I say to every person out there. Now, if you don't know anybody, let's say you're an employee of Google, you're screwed because you don't know anything. Who's your accountant? Who's your attorney? Can you read a financial? Do you know how to trade a stock? Do you know how to short a stock? No, but my team can. So smaller is better at this point in time.
Smaller is better at this time. How do you think President Trump is? I know you and him wrote a book together.
2 books.
Why we want you to be rich?
And Midas Touch.
And Midas Touch, which by the way, I read Why We Want You to Be Rich, and I have not read the Midas Touch, but I read Why We Want You to Be Rich. Yeah, you guys wrote 2 books together. I remember that.
Yeah.
And
I'm not Republican or Democrat. We wrote together as teachers, like we're teaching right now. I'm not trying to sell anything.
Mm-hmm. And this was actually a good book I read. How are you seeing how he's doing right now? If you're looking at him from the outside, how's he doing right now as a president?
I think he's doing great, personally.
You think he's doing great?
But, you know, he's got too many knives after him right now, as you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, if he's talking to China, he's at least talking to me. He's talking to Kim Jong-un, he's talking to Putin. He's talking to people. He goes to Davos and he talks to people. And Obama, I'm not Republican or Democrat, Obama pissed everybody off. Did you know when Obama pulled up to China, nobody met him, but they rolled out the carpet for Trump. When Obama talked to Putin, they got into a fight. So Trump is a kind of a dictator, he is. But you need a dictator to talk to a dictator. You don't need a nice guy to talk to a dictator. Obama's a nice guy. He's from Hawaii. I'm sure he's a nice guy, you know. But they laugh at him. And besides, he's a guy that there was a book called Lucifer's Banker. It was Obama who paid Iran $150 billion. And that money came out of Switzerland. And I met the Swiss banker who released the money. And Obama released the money.
The 150 billion.
It didn't do any good.
No.
So Hamas got it. They laugh at him. Do you know what I mean? When you were in school, if there was a bully, did being nice to the bully help?
No.
No. You either go up and punch it out or run away. But you don't try and talk him out of being a bully. I think AOC could, you know, hi. She's pretty cute. Yeah, I'll talk to her. But it's like schoolyard, right? And that's what it is. So I was never the smartest guy. I wasn't the toughest guy. I played football and all this. But I hung out with the guys who were tight. You know, we just had a little tight group. Got through school.
You think he's going to get reelected?
Yeah.
He's going to get reelected.
Well, unless something happens, if you know what I mean.
Any plans to write another book together, you and him?
We were going to in 2015. Then he called me and he says, guess what? I'm running for president. And he announced it on my radio show. I was the first guy. I said, well, congratulations, good luck. And I'm going to stay away from you.
You said, I'm going to stay away from you.
It's a target. Do you know, in all the Caesars, right, there was like 300 Caesars. Only like 20 died a natural death. The rest were all murdered. That's what Nazim Taleb, he says, the bigger you get, the bigger target you get. He says the most successful country is like Switzerland. Who's the president?
No one knows.
But every country where you know the president, they're just big, they're fat, they're bloated. And the most successful countries are small, like Singapore. So that's why, you know, all the guys, so if you're small and listening to this program tonight, I would say you just pull your horns in, wait for the crash, but have your team together. You know, even, you know, I trained as a Marine sniper. Even we had we had designated snipers. We fought as teams. We never go by themselves. And in school, they teach you to be the A student, do it all by yourself. Well, the A students are ruling the world. They don't know anything. Whereas I have my little fire team, you know, my accountants, my attorneys, my bankers, my real estate guys, my financial planners. We're kicking ass because we stay small, we stay low.
Let me ask you this question when you're talking about that team. When you're putting your team together, what are some things you look for as a team? And what does it take to build a stronger bond with your team?
It takes time.
Okay.
That's all. You know, because, you know, people, when it comes to money, people lie. You know, so it takes time to build that trust. Can you trust this guy under fire? That's why I love the Marine Corps. You know, we may not have liked each other, but when we went into battle, we're all Marines. I could trust.
So it takes some time to put a team together.
Yeah, and a lot of flakes out there too. So like a couple of my partners, we're 40 years together.
40 years together.
We know each other like brothers. It's the most important thing is trust, confidence, loyalty, integrity, diligence, cover my back.
Robert, do you consume content or no? Do you consume content?
What's that?
Content online. Do you consume content?
Oh yeah, I study constantly.
What content are you consuming?
Well, I love YouTube. You know, I'm always on there checking, you know, I'm listening. If somebody says X and the other guy says Y, I listen to both. I want to know both sides. That's what I love about YouTube. I can check somebody. Like this Bitcoin versus gold argument. You got Peter Schiff and you got Max Kaiser. You know, I listen to both guys. So, you know, Schiff trashes Bitcoin and all this stuff. It doesn't hurt to listen to both sides. So that's why I love it.
So you do consume content?
Oh, God, yeah. I'm studying constantly.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up? Anything we should be thinking about right now, that last words I'll give to you on what somebody ought to be thinking about right now with the current economy and current place that we're in?
Well, again, I love what Nassim Taleb wrote. You got to be anti-fragile today. You can't be a snowflake. And our schools are pumping out snowflakes in mass. And I hope your kid isn't one of them, because we screwed the kids. The student loan debt is now bigger than 1.6 trillion. It's now bigger than the subprime debt. We've screwed everybody, including our kids. And that's why there's no financial education in school. That's why everybody's fake. I wouldn't trust a school teacher's advice for anything. Nice people, my whole family of school teachers. They don't know anything about money. Nothing. They want their pension and paycheck.
Who would you listen to? If you're saying don't listen to teachers, who would you listen to?
I listen to guys like you. I listen to Max Kaiser. I listen to Schiff. I listen to Taleb. But I listen to all the whack jobs also, because they might be right. What I love about YouTube is so fast. Most of them like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm out.
Next, I got my shot of a whack job. So having said that, this is the second time we sat down together. Obviously, every time we sit down with him, the conversation is just fascinating to get into Robert's brain and Robert's mind. We're going to put the link to all the books below. Robert, we're going to put the link below for Who Stole My Pension and Rich Dad Poor Dad. And since you mentioned Nassim Taleb 5 times in today's episode, I'm going to put the books of Nassim Taleb as well below. And by the way, while you're watching this, I'd like to get you to send a message to Robert Kiyosaki. Send him a tweet over here. We'll put his handle there. Mine's going to be right here. Tell us what you took. What's your biggest takeaway from this episode with Robert Kiyosaki? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Robert, thank you so much for being here.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, thank you. We'll do.
Congratulations on your success.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.